Hi, everybody. This is E.T. As I discussed in a previous episode, political designations like conservatism and liberalism elude precise definition because they imply, in various eras and contexts, very different things. But as a smart, if not always wise, novelist admonished us, we must define our terms. And to this end, I'll give you in précis definitions from two scholars of the subject, one being Russell Kirk, author of The Conservative Mind, the other being Wilmer Kendall, author of John Locke and the Doctrine of Majority Rule. Today's episode deals with Kirk's definition, or rather his 6 major premises of conservatism, which he believed could not be honed to any specific philosophy or policy or ideology that would be applicable to all peoples, all locales, every era. These 6 premises are general understandings of what Kirk understood conservatism to mean, can be packaged into what Walter Bagehot called reflective conservatism. How valuable this is to you? Well, you decide. Premise 1. Conservatives generally believe that a transcendent moral order exists. For some, it could be religion, others, natural law, but something to provide an enduring moral authority to which all, or at least a large majority, in society concur, given some degree of interpretation, of course. In other words, society requires something that binds all the laws, as well as private behavior, to the authority of the Lord, or to nature's God, as Jefferson phrased it. But another way, the social order can be better maintained when laws and mores are tightly bound to divine authority, or for the secularist, nature's rules. Premise number 2, continuity. In other words, do not unfix old interests all at once, as do revolutions. They slice the arteries of a culture. Premise 3. Conservatives must recognize the principle of prescription, whereby we moderns understand ourselves as dwarfs, little people, atop the shoulders of giants. We see as far as we do only because, as Kirk put it, of the stature of those who preceded us. Put another way, we should, as we were admonished to do by Edmund Burke, revere the wisdom of our ancestors, who long ago, and painfully, established standards in morals, politics, taste, which today are too often challenged by yours and my private judgment and rationality. The individual, as Edmund Burke wrote, is foolish, but the species is wise. In other words, our habits, our customs, our conventions are of very remote origin and woven into the fabric of our society. Santayana recognized this when he wrote that the innovator never knows how near to the taproot of the tree he is hacking. Premise 4. We must revere the principle of variety. Now, this is likely to offend egalitarian sensibilities, in that it recognizes the necessity of economic and social inequalities, which are required to provide leadership and to reward the producer. When these natural inequalities are eliminated, let's say by communism or some other collectivist or utopian leveling ideology, they are invariably replaced by some new, radical form of imposed inequality, that of a Robespierre or a Stalin. The next principle, understanding human imperfectibility. In other words, man. Now, I'm using that word in its generic sense to include male and female and anybody of indeterminate gender, all being possessed of greed, animus, antisocial tendencies, is not fit for perfect things. Thus, the best we can expect on this temporal plane, at least, is a tolerably ordered, just, free society in which there will be suffering, evil, and maladjustments. Put another way, the pursuit of utopia is fruitless and is bound to result in misery. The last principle is that of prudence. This should be first among a statesman's virtues. So said Edmund Burke and Plato. We should judge public measures by the probable long-term consequences and not temporary advantage or popularity. The conservative believes that liberals and radicals are imprudent. They dash at objectives with no heed to risk of new abuses, which are worse invariably than the evils they want to sweep away. So there you've got it. Russell Kirk's reflective conservatism, which may leave the student of the subject confused as to the particulars of what an American conservative believes. Does Kirk's conservatism support a particular form of governing, say monarchy, oligarchy, democracy, a republic? Does his conservatism support a particular economic system, capitalism or free enterprise, a mixed economy? Well, who can say? Perhaps Professor Kendall can clarify things. We'll talk about him next episode. This is E.T. Leave your comments below. Do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to like or dislike. Thanks.